The Guardian of Eden. After humanity was expelled from Eden, the garden was not abandoned. It was sealed. Between its eternal rivers and immortal trees stood a guardian, chosen to watch the boundary between the divine and the human world. She was a woman of striking beauty, impossible to ignore. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried ancient knowledge. She was dressed as a warrior, light armor of leather and forged metal, sacred symbols etched into her gear, and a sword that gleamed like fire at dawn. Her command was absolute. No one who lived outside Eden was ever to return. For generations, the exiled gazed toward the garden from afar, remembering it as a lost dream. The guardian watched them as well. She saw their suffering, their hunger, their fear, and something within her began to fracture. She understood both worlds. She knew Eden was not only perfection, but confinement. And beyond its borders, though pain ruled, freedom existed. One night, when the winds fell silent and the stars seemed to witness in secret, the guardian made a forbidden choice. She opened the gate. She allowed some to enter and then return, carrying seeds, pure water, and forbidden knowledge. She did not act out of betrayal. She acted out of compassion. For a brief time, Eden breathed humanity once more. But every choice carries a cost. The forces that upheld eternal order discovered her act. The guardian was marked a traitor, not by humankind, but by the heavens themselves. Yet the damage was already done. The outer world changed. Humanity learned, endured, and grew stronger because of what she allowed them to take. Her name was erased from memory, lost to myth and silence. But some legends claim she still stands at Eden's threshold, sword in hand, watching not to prevent entry, but to decide who is worthy of returning. In the next chapters, we will uncover what happened when the divine order confronted the guardian, how the gates of Eden were truly changed, and what price humanity paid for touching paradise once more. We will explore the war that followed her decision, the fall of the guardian, and the secret she carried beyond Eden's borders. Because Eden was not lost by chance. It was protected, it was betrayed, and it was transformed forever. The story continues. During the first centuries of Christianity, the story of Jesus was not contained in a single book. Many texts circulated among early communities, copied by hand, shared quietly, and read in secret. Some would later be accepted, others would be rejected. Thus, the apocryphal Gospels were born. These writings were not excluded by accident, but by choice. As the Church became more organized, an official canon was established, 4 Gospels that would define Christian belief. Other texts, although ancient and widely known, were left out. Not because all were false, but because they presented ideas that were different, controversial, or difficult to control. The apocryphal Gospels describe a different Jesus. Some portray him as a child with extraordinary powers, capable of giving life and taking it away. Others reveal secret teachings meant only for a few chosen followers. In these texts, Jesus does not only save, he teaches, challenges, and reveals deep knowledge about the human soul. Writings such as the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and the Gospel of Judas present a more internal and spiritual message. Here, the kingdom of God is not found in the heavens, but within the individual. For centuries, these texts were labeled dangerous and heretical. Many were destroyed. Others survived, hidden in caves, deserts, and monasteries, waiting to be rediscovered. When they finally re-emerged, they revealed something unsettling. Early Christianity was far more diverse, complex, and human than generations had been taught. The apocryphal Gospels do not seek to replace the Bible. They remind us that at the beginning of faith, there were questions, debates, and hidden paths to understanding the divine. And this story is only the beginning. In the next chapters, we will explore these forbidden texts one by one. We will uncover what the Gospel of Thomas truly taught, why Mary Magdalene was silenced, and how Judas may have played a role far more complex than betrayal, because what was excluded from the Bible still has much to say. Before Adam and Eve, humanity was already being watched. Long before the first pages of Genesis were written, the earth was not alone in the universe. From the depths of the stars came the Anunnaki, ancient beings of immense knowledge and power. They observed the planet from their advanced vessels, studying its lands, its oceans, and the fragile life that was beginning to awaken. In hidden laboratories beyond human sight, they shaped humanity's destiny. Inside chambers of glass and light, humans were created, observed, and refined. Flesh and spirit were studied as one. The Anunnaki were not merely visitors. They were architects of civilizations, teachers of kings, and guardians of forbidden knowledge. They walked among early humans as gods, and humanity worshipped them as such. But among all beings, one stood apart. He appeared as a man, yet carried eternity within him. Clothed in white robes woven with golden stars that flashed like lightning, crowned with gold and diamonds, Jesus Christ stood among them, not as a prisoner, not as a creation, but as the heir. His presence was calm, sovereign, and timeless. The Anunnaki gathered around him in reverence, placing the crown upon his head, acknowledging his authority. Inside a vast celestial ship, they guided him toward the stars. Through immense transparent windows, the earth came into view, blue, alive, and fragile. The Anunnaki raised their hands and pointed toward the planet, revealing continents, oceans, and the future written in light. Holograms unfolded in the air, showing humanity's path: rise, fall, war, faith, and redemption. This was the moment of choice. The earth was not just a world. It was an inheritance. The Anunnaki had guided humanity's early steps, but they could not remain. Their time as gods would end. Their names would fade, their stories rewritten. They would become myths, angels, watchers, demons, hidden between the lines of sacred texts. And so, the divine plan was set into motion. Jesus would descend not as a ruler in the heavens, but as a servant among men. The crown would be replaced by a cross. Knowledge would be veiled as faith. Power would be hidden within sacrifice. The Garden of Eden was not the beginning. It was a reset. The serpent was not just temptation. It was knowledge. The gods were not erased. They were transformed. What humanity calls Genesis is not the first chapter. It is the surviving echo of a far older story. It was not an act of war. It was a decision. From the ancient heavens, the Watchers observed the earth in silence. They were neither gods nor men, but something in between, guardians of balance, witnesses of the experiment. Their purpose was not to rule, but to observe, not to interfere, not to become involved. But the earth changed, and so did they. They saw a world prepared, purified after the great fall, ready for a new creation. They saw hidden laboratories, living machines, and the design of a humanity still unfinished. And for the first time, they felt something that was never written into their mandate: compassion. When they descended, the sky opened like a wound. They did not fall as meteors, but as conscious shadows. Their steps shook the land, and their presence altered the established order. Where there had only been observation, there was now contact. The Watchers taught. They revealed fire, numbers, agriculture, and writing. They raised structures, aligned stones, and measured the heavens. But with knowledge came desire, and with desire, transgression. Those who were meant to watch without touching chose to remain. They sealed pacts. They took form. And they crossed a boundary that was never meant to be crossed. That was the true descent, not from heaven to earth, but from obedience to rebellion. From that moment on, the experiment was no longer under control. That in the next chapter, we will uncover the oath the Watchers broke, and how their decision gave birth to a new race that would change the fate of the world forever. Before the first human breath, the earth was already alive. Its skies were different, its waters deeper, its land shaped by forces no longer present. Ancient creatures walked freely across vast continents, and ecosystems flourished without fear. There was order, but not human order, a balance designed long before humanity was imagined. Hidden beneath layers of stone and time, structures once stood where no civilization should have existed. Perfect angles, impossible geometry, traces of intelligence erased by catastrophe or intention. This world did not belong to Adam. It belonged to something older. Some believe the earth was a testing ground, a place where life was shaped, observed, and corrected. Failures were buried, successes refined. Extinction was not an accident. It was a reset. When the old world fell, its memory was sealed beneath oceans and sediment. What remained was silence and preparation. Only after the earth was emptied, only after the world was made obedient, did the next phase begin. And then humanity was introduced. In the next chapter, we will uncover who watched this ancient world fall, and why the earth had to be cleansed before Adapa was created. Before human history began, the Watchers descended. Ancient, luminous beings carrying knowledge far beyond Earth, they observed a young and violent planet. Later texts would call them sons of God, but their mission was precise: to create a being capable of working, obeying, and adapting. Thus, Project Adapa was born. The Garden of Eden was their first testing environment. Not a paradise, but a closed system designed to control every variable. Stable climate, endless food, no predators, no scarcity, and above all, no choice. Adapa was introduced as the first successful hybrid. His body was perfected, but his mind was restricted. The Watchers understood that full awareness would introduce a dangerous variable: disobedience. Knowledge, therefore, was sealed away. The forbidden tree was not divine punishment. It was a switch, a point of access to moral awareness, self-consciousness, and the ability to question one's creators. One Watcher, later remembered as the Serpent, recognized the flaw in the design. A being without knowledge could never evolve. Breaking protocol, he gave Adapa what was forbidden: awakening. The transformation was immediate. Adapa did not die. He thought. He felt. He feared, and he understood. Eden reacted like any laboratory when an experiment escapes control. The system shut down. Access was revoked. The expulsion was not a moral curse, but a permanent disconnection. Outside the garden, true humanity began. Labor, suffering, but also freedom. Project Adapa had failed, or perhaps it had succeeded in a way the Watchers never intended. In the next chapter, we will uncover what happened when some Watchers refused to leave Earth, and how their defiance reshaped the destiny of humankind forever. Before the law was written and before temples were built, there appeared a man without origin or ending. His name was Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. He did not rise from a lineage, nor was his priesthood inherited. He came quietly, clothed in humility, yet carried an authority that silenced warriors and bent kings to reverence. Where others ruled by strength, he ruled by peace. When Abraham returned from battle, weary and stained by war, Melchizedek met him, not with weapons, but with bread and wine. In that simple offering was a blessing older than sacrifice, a covenant before blood was demanded. And Abraham, father of nations, bowed his head and offered a tenth, recognizing a priesthood greater than his own promise. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, Melchizedek vanished. No record of his birth, no account of his death, only a shadow left behind, pointing forward through the ages. His priesthood was not bound to time. It whispered of a future grace, of a priest who would come not from the altar of stone, but from eternity itself. A priest who would bring peace, not through law or fear, but through love. Melchizedek remained, a mystery written between the lines of Scripture, a sign that God's plan was already unfolding long before humanity understood it. And his story was not the end, it was the beginning. In an age before temples of stone and doctrines of power, Jesus spoke words not meant for crowds, but for those who dared to awaken. These were not teachings of fear or reward, but sayings hidden like fire inside language, waiting to be discovered. Thomas listened carefully. He was called the doubter, yet he was the one who questioned deeply. Jesus did not speak to him of kingdoms above the clouds, but of a kingdom already living within every human being. If you bring forth what is within you, it will save you, the teacher said. The word struck harder than any blade. The disciples grew uneasy. There were no rules to obey, no thrones to inherit, only a dangerous truth: to know oneself is to know God. Such knowledge could not be controlled. Jesus walked among stones and trees, pointing to the ordinary world. Split a piece of wood and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me. Creation itself became sacred scripture. These teachings were whispered at night, written in secret, and buried beneath sand and silence. Not because they were false, but because they made humanity free without permission. The Gospel of Thomas does not build an institution. It hands the seeker a mirror, and once a person looks into it, there is no turning back. In the next chapter, we will descend deeper into the forbidden texts that history tried to erase, and uncover why their truth was feared.
The kingdom is within you, hidden like a seed in the sand.
It began within hours. In Caracas, the dead rose and the city collapsed. Streets flooded with zombies, buildings burned, and screams were swallowed by smoke. No local force could stop the spread. From the sky, cutting-edge military helicopters tore through the clouds. Elite U.S. forces deployed into the city, turning avenues and plazas into war zones. Gunfire echoed endlessly, yet the zombies kept advancing. As night consumed the capital, one truth became undeniable. Caracas could no longer be saved, only contained. When the helicopters pulled back, a final message remained clear. Caracas was not the end. It was the beginning. The Maya, echoes of time. Deep within the Mesoamerican jungle, where morning mist rises and the calls of unseen birds break the silence, lies the legacy of a civilization that defied time, the Maya. They were not merely builders of stone. They were architects of the cosmos. Their cities were raised in harmony with the heavens. Pyramids aligned with the movements of the sun, the moon, and Venus. Every stairway, every temple, every shadow cast across stone carried both scientific precision and sacred meaning. While much of the ancient world struggled to measure time, the Maya mastered it. They predicted eclipses, charted planetary cycles, and understood time not as an end, but as an eternal transformation. Yet their knowledge did not dwell only in the sky. It lived in the earth, in maze, in ritual, and in the profound bond between humanity and the divine. For the Maya, science and spirituality were inseparable, woven together into a single ancestral wisdom. Then came the silence. Cities were abandoned. The jungle reclaimed the temples. Stone was swallowed by roots and shadow. To the modern world, the Maya seemed to vanish. But they did not disappear. Their knowledge slept beneath the canopy, carved into stone and written in the stars, waiting to be rediscovered. Today, as we walk among their ruins, we do not merely observe the past, we hear an echo, a message that still resonates across centuries. We are not separate from the universe. We are part of its rhythm. This is the story of a mysterious, advanced, and deeply enigmatic civilization. A story written in stone, sky, and time. The story of the gladiator who never stepped back from death. The sun burned high over the Colosseum. Thousands of voices roared, hungry for blood and glory. From the dark tunnel, a lone man stepped into the arena, Aurelius. The gladiator Rome would come to call the lion of the Colosseum. He was not the strongest. He was not the fastest. But he possessed something rare. He never stepped back. Not from fear. Not from pain, not from death. In his first fight, he faced 3 men at once. The crowd expected him to fall within seconds. But when the dust settled, Aurelius was still standing, wounded, breathing hard, yet unbroken. That day, Rome began to chant his name. With every battle, his legend grew. While others hesitated, he advanced. While fear stopped many, the lion charged forward. The fight that made him immortal came on a tense morning. Across from him stood a massive, undefeated warrior. Their clash shook the arena, steel, blood, and sand flying. Aurelius fell to his knees. The Colosseum fell silent. The giant raised his weapon for the final blow. But the lion rose, bleeding, exhausted, never stepping back. With one last strike, he brought the giant down. The colossus fell. The lion remained standing. The crowd erupted. The emperor raised his thumb. Aurelius did not celebrate. He simply bowed his head to the people. And so Rome learned a truth it would never forget. As long as courage exists, the lion of the Colosseum will never step back from death. The serpent of knowledge. Before Eden, before humanity, there was an experiment beneath what would later be called paradise. Hidden behind living walls of light and code, the Anunnaki built a high-security biological laboratory. They did not pray. They did not worship. They engineered. Inside a glowing incubation chamber, Subject Adapa took his first breath. His DNA was not purely human. It carried fragments of something ancient and foreign, celestial code woven into flesh. He was the first successful hybrid, designed for strength, obedience, and labor. But something went wrong. Or perhaps something went right. Among the creators, division grew. Some demanded control and submission. Others feared what they had awakened. And then Enki arrived. He moved silently through the lab, serpent-like symbols flowing around him, his eyes filled with knowledge rather than judgment. Later generations would call him the serpent. Not a demon, but a scientist. A rebel. They made you to serve, Enki whispered as he altered Adapa's genetic sequence. I will give you the power to understand. When knowledge was released, alarms shattered the stillness. The overseers descended in fury. Eden was sealed. Memories were fractured. Fear was implanted deep into the human mind as a control mechanism. They would later call it original sin. But it was never a sin. It was a forbidden upgrade. Humanity was cast into the world, confused, vulnerable, yet carrying an unerasable spark, consciousness. A memory buried deep in DNA, echoing through myths, dreams, and sacred texts. And the serpent disappeared, or so we were told. Because Project Adapa was never terminated. It was hidden, rewritten, disguised as scripture. And now, it is awakening again. In the next chapter, we will continue uncovering the forbidden archives of Project Adapa, revealing who the Watchers truly were, why the Giants were born, and what role humanity still plays in an experiment that never ended. The question is no longer who created us, but why they are still watching. The Garden of Eden was never a paradise. It was a sealed place where heaven first touched the earth. There began the experiment, when the beings later called the sons of God altered human flesh and awakened a mind meant to obey, not to understand. But one among them opened what should have remained sealed, and humanity awakened. That was the true sin, knowledge. Cast out from Eden, humankind multiplied and split into two paths. The lineage of Cain built cities of stone and towers of pride. The lineage of Seth remembered the voice above, and in the days of Enosh, men began to call upon the name of the Lord, and their cry once again reached the heavens. Then came the second transgression. The sons of God looked upon the daughters of men and descended. From that forbidden union the Nephilim were born, giants of immense strength and unrestrained will. They ruled by violence, feasted in arrogance, and filled the earth with corruption. The experiment had spiraled beyond control. Yet amid the noise and the pride, one man walked differently. Noah found favor. While giants laughed and crowds mocked, he listened and obeyed. He built the ark under open skies, wood rising day by day, a warning no one believed. Then the door was shut. The sky broke open. The fountains of the deep burst forth. Towers fell, giants were swallowed, and the world that had crossed forbidden boundaries was erased by water. The flood was not only destruction, it was containment. When the waters withdrew, the earth stood silent. The giants were gone. The heavens were distant once more. But the experiment continued, this time with a warning written into the memory of the world. Whenever heaven and earth unite in pride, creation itself rises to restore the boundary. And that ancient story, though buried beneath water and time, has not yet reached its end. Under the broom tree, the desert showed no mercy. The sun burned high above, and the silence pressed heavily on the land. The prophet Elijah, exhausted from the long journey and the weight of his calling, finally collapsed beneath a solitary broom tree. His strength was gone. His spirit felt empty. "Enough, Lord," he whispered. "Take my life." There, between sand and shadow, Elijah fell into a deep sleep, overwhelmed by weariness and despair. Then a gentle touch awakened him. An angel of the Lord stood beside him, not with judgment, but with compassion. The angel spoke softly, "Get up and eat." Beside Elijah lay freshly baked bread and a jar of water. He drank and lay down again. A second time, the angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." Strength returned not only to Elijah's body, but to his soul. He rose and began to walk. For 40 days and 40 nights, he traveled through wilderness and silence, until he reached Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. There, Elijah understood that he had never been alone. And so it is with us. There are moments when the road feels endless, when our strength fails and our hearts grow weary. But the Lord does not abandon us beneath the broom tree. He comes near, gives us what we need, and walks with us, until we are strong enough to continue. You are not alone. You never have been.